Hello, and a very good evening on this lovely warm evening on the 3rd of September. September, I know. I did say last week I'd see you next month. And indeed, here we are. You are most welcome. Whether you are watching live or whether you are, as most of you do, watching on the catch-up, I do hope you've had a good week and enjoying this burst of sunshine, this late burst of sunshine that's happening. So good evening to everyone that I may not have said hello to in the chat room. And hi Ollie, hi. I saw your mum the other day. Indeed, the themed countdown. It was requested by somebody some weeks ago as one of our opening musics. Because it fits the bill, really, doesn't it? We like to have a bit of music which is between 30 and 45 seconds long, and that rather very simple but very effective bit of music was composed by this chap, Alan HAWKSHAW, and that's a sort of earlier photo of him. He passed away a couple of years ago, and amongst his compositions are the iconic theme to Grange Hill, which actually that wasn't written for Grange Hill. It was a piece of KPM library music. We always talk about the library music that gets taken up. What else did he write? Dave Allen, the Dave Allen theme, for those of you that might remember that. But quite a prolific composer of jingles, TV music, library music, a jazz pianist, composer, arranger, blah, 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 blah. Countdown from 1982. And of course, we probably all remember that starting, don't we? It's one of the first programs, I think, that came out on Channel 4 with Mr. Richard, careful what I said then, Richard Whiteley. I wrote to Richard Whiteley once, back in the day, and said, look, Mr. Whiteley, can you tell me about some of your ties? Because he was a tie fanatic, and I had a very lovely letter back from him. Probably wasn't from him, but I'm going to pretend it was on Channel 4, saying about some of his ties, but he didn't actually, they weren't his own ties, they were just chosen for him. He wore a lot of Duchamp ties, and I recognised that. Anyway, what are we talking about? Nothing. Oh, tonight's time. This is by Fornasetti, who's one of the artists that I very much admire the work of. That was a clumsy sentence, sorry about that. So here we are, as I say, in September, and the temperature and the sun and the brightness is just right, isn't it? It's fantastic. So I do hope this finds you well and in readiness to enjoy a date with a dinner set, whether you are consuming live or whether you're watching at some point on the catch-up. A usual mixture this evening, quite a mixture this evening. Some let's just see some appropriate ones, shall we say. Oh, turn it off, just throw it away, brother, throw the blimmin' thing away. I know what you mean. It's insistent, isn't it? Very insistent. Anyway, do enjoy the programme, and if you're in the chat room and you want to join in the chat about the music or its composer, then please do. Wherever you are, whether you're out in the garden or wherever you are, just enjoy. Indeed, as my learned brother said, Spanish Eyes. And Spanish Eyes was composed in 1965. And it's quite an interesting piece of music. It's again one of those deceptively simple bits of music that is quite a nice earworm. So I'm just letting this video run, having sort of prepared it for you. Yes, that's why I chose it. But Spanish Eyes, what it was composed by the German band leader and organist and pianist Bert Kaempfert. I know it is pretty, isn't it? Is it not? Yes. And I think what's also interesting about it is that 2 sets of lyrics were composed for it. One Italian, to go with my time, Moon Over Naples, and the other one, Spanish Eyes. And of course I was playing in Spanish there. So that's what that was. And it's a really nice simple tune. I know what I mean by that. It really is very effective. I first came across it in the 70s for the wrong reason. It was one of those things that got demonstrated when I went to see organ demonstrate, home organs. You know, home organs were so big in the 70s, and I used to sort of go to all these freebie shows. And that one used to always get demonstrated because in those days, home organs had a really, really irritating drum box, if you like, and that was used to demonstrate the rumba, and it always remember it for that reason. But it is actually a very nice bit of music. So I do hope you enjoyed our opening one, a nice gentle one. Gina, I hope you're still awake and with us. If you're enjoying what you hear and see, then don't forget to press that thumbs up button, the like button, to help the channel along on its merry way. This weather is superb, isn't it? It's such a treat to have a blast of heat at the end of summer. More about that later, and on with the show coffee first, I think. Oh, incidentally, I was listening back to last week's programme, and I was talking about Wallace and Gromit, and when the film A Grand Day Out opened with the immortal words, "These bank holidays." And of course, stupidly, I said that it was spoken by Gromit, who doesn't really speak, does he? Spoken by Wallace. I just wanted to correct that in case you thought I was a complete numpty on that sort of thing. Okay, enjoy our next piece of music. I've been rumbled. My late summer chill out has been rumbled. But yeah, yeah. There are quite a few in that vein tonight, actually. I'm not quite sure what the thinking was of that. That was, as who said it first? Ollie and Robert and family. Actually, Brother Mark, you said the title first. Stranger on the Shore is indeed what it was, as often played by, and not only for the fact that he composed it, indeed. Acker, Bilk, what a silly name. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all. It was actually composed in 1961. 1961. And it wasn't called Stranger on the Shore in 1961. It was called Jenny. Jenny, yes. And Acker Bilk, he of the bowler hat, composed it for his daughter Jenny, who was learning clarinet. And it's been the bane of clarinet learners ever since. No. It's a lovely tune. And the reason it's suited to, should we say, younger players particularly, is because that opening melody is all underneath the break on the clarinet in the lower Chalamot register, and it has that lovely, rich, vibrant, sort of oily tone to it, and I think that's part of what makes it very memorable as a piece of chilled music. It was then used in the TV series, which I believe was called Stranger on the Shore in the 60s. Brother Mark, that was your time. Perhaps you can tell us about that. But 1961. Oh, and the other factoid about that is that it was one of the pieces of music that was taken on the I'll take your word for it, Mark. It was taken on the Apollo 10 mission. Stranger on the Shore, Acker Bilk, or Jenny by Acker Bilk. I think I prefer Stranger on the Shore as a title. Now look, you heard it here. But we need to celebrate this, folks. None of this late summer business. Today, we should be celebrating the fact that it is, on September the 3rd, National Welsh Rarebit Day. You heard it here. You really did. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to say much more about that, because you probably all know why it's called rabbit rather than rabbit. It's a sort of well, you can look it up actually if you want to. But whilst you're just thinking about that and looking at that rather nice picture, there were other pictures available. I'm just doing something with a computer that's asking something, which is very annoying. You see, this is the thing about live. I'm going to say live television. Well, I suppose it is sort of television, isn't it? The computer's decided that it wanted an update on something, which is not convenient when I'm trying to do a live broadcast, to have a great big screen saying, would you like to start your computer? No, I wouldn't like to start my computer now. I want you to go away and leave me to do my live stream. Thank you very much. And I will say good evening to Martin, and good evening, Jeannie. Jeannie, I haven't seen you for so long. And yes, Stacey's Mum's Day. Mark, you're going to have to explain what on earth you're talking about with that one. Yes, meanwhile, back at the ranch, I'm going to go on with the next piece of music, which is, or should be famous. I think it's famous because it's from a famous film, but can you identify either the name of the music, the composer, or indeed the film, or all three, while my brother thinks about what on earth he's writing in my chat room? Indeed, brother. It was by Michael Big. And there he is, in my current favourite photo of him. Ooh, a lucky, or rather unlucky miss, brother. No, more famously than that, much more famously, Good Evening, David, with your Weill. Fantastic. And it's wailing weather, is it not? That was from 1968. And it was from, and you'll kick yourselves, and if you don't kick yourselves, then I'm very happy to come over and kick some of you. It was from the Thomas Crown Affair. Oh, yes, of course. And the title of this song is His Eyes, Her Eyes. Thomas Crown Affair, 1968, Michel Legrand. So there you go. And that seemed a nice one to do this evening, because we haven't had that one for a little while here on the programme. So obviously you're all here in the chat room. I'm not doing that much chatting. No, but it's well, the thing is, it's warm, isn't it? It's warm, isn't it? And besides, I can do more than enough chat for everyone, can I not? But if you're watching this on the catch-up, which approximately 70% of our weekly audience does watch on the catch-up, and you want to take part in the chat, I can't think why, it's an absolute madhouse in here most of the time, you do need to be subscribed to the channel that is Gigi the Piano Man, the channel you're currently watching. And here on this channel, Gigi the Piano Man, we of course do this live program every Sunday at 18:30 for around about an hour. We do a video upload every Friday, more about this week's one a little later on. So there's lots going on the channel, and we're not doing specials at the moment, so I do need to change that card at some point. Yeah, so do subscribe if you're not subscribed, and if you want to know when things are going on, press the bell notification. You don't have to be notified. You can still subscribe and not be notified, and the more subscribers, the better, I believe. That I'm up to 487, and I'm very excited. YouTube's getting excited for me. I got an email from YouTube. Great news. The thing is, when YouTube starts an email with great news, to me, it normally isn't. But this one's quite nice, really. It says that if I get to 500 subscribers soon, then I'll get, there's some congratulatory email, and I'm eligible for something. I don't know. I don't know what. A little picture of a trophy or something. I don't know. We shall see. 29, I know, blistering hard. Phew, what a scorcher, as the sun would have said. Telly boxes turned down naturally. Right, somewhat appropriately, here is the next song. Did you misspell it the first time, brother? It looked okay to me, and it does sound very nice. I could not agree more. So I won't. That was, of course, Summertime, not the way I usually play it. For some reason, I felt like waking myself up. Gene, you inspired me, because I know you're dozing off down there. Porgy and Bess, of course, the wonderful opera from 1935 by George Gershwin. And Summertime, as we are currently enjoying more summertime. Oh, incidentally, speaking of sun, I read this week, the other week, of course, India very successfully landed on the south side, dark side, the watery side of the moon. I read this week, and I don't know if it's true. They're going to, they're not stopping there. They're off to the sun. Off to the sun now. I'm not sure that's a good idea. It can be a bit too hot. But maybe they're not going to park this one. But there we go. So that was Summertime from 1935 by George Gershwin. If you feel like making a donation towards the channel to help me with my coffee beans and me electricity and me Wi-Fi, gratefully received. But I do hope you're enjoying this evening's programme here on A Date with a Dinner Set. We're on programme 167, by the way. 167, we're galloping towards, 168 initially. That would be our first goal for galloping. On A Date with a Dinner Set, 3rd of September. I can't believe it's September. Oh well, never mind. Enjoy our next song. Indeed, you all know the song. It is the song May to September. It's actual title is September Song, hence we are playing it. But that, of course, is the very famous lyric to it, composed by very, very wonderful eclectic composer, Mr. Kurt Weill. And it was composed in 1938. And originally, it was composed for Knickerbocker Holiday, starring Nelson Eddy. It was later referenced in the 1950 film September Affair. I don't know, something about Kurt Weill's songwriting style is really very special, very very unique. It's very haunting, something to do with the harmonies he uses. So that's what it was, but you're all correct, of course, with the lyric, but it was September Song by Kurt Weill. So just before we move on to our next song, just tell you about this week's upload, because there are several interesting things about this week's upload. This week's upload was the start of a September series of all Cole Porter uploads. And this one was It's All Right With Me. And as we, I think, said last week, Cole Porter composed over 800 songs. So it's been quite tricky to choose 5 because they're all amazing. The other interesting thing about this week's upload is that you might, if you have been watching it, have noticed that we had a third camera in on the game. Well, it wasn't really a camera, it was the phone, just an experiment. And I've also been experimenting with the sound a little bit. And quite a few people have noticed that have watched the video and have commented on it. Yeah, so we'll keep some of those ideas. And if you really want to have a good game, then do follow the link in the description. It takes you directly to this week's upload. And importantly, like I say, if you want a good game, see if you can spot the fruit fly that decided to invade that video. It was quite funny. I didn't see it when I was playing, but I spotted it very easily when it was uploaded. So that was this week's upload. As I say, there are going to be 5 uploads in September, all wonderful Cole Porter songs. So we now move to our new piece on a date with a dinner set. As you know, we try and have a new piece every week on a date with a dinner set, a piece which is new to the programme. And hopefully, not only will you know this, but the reason that I've chosen this one will become equally obvious to enjoy. Yes, indeed, that was the reason. And um, regular viewers may know that back at the start, we had two supermoons in August, and I knew that the blue moon was coming up right at the end, but I decided to play Blue Moon. This is in answer to your comment, Jean, at the before the program started. But I decided to play it then, and I thought, oh, well, we'll have something else moon-like when we get to the supermoon. Yes, that's what it was. And as Kate said, it was Moonlight Becomes You. And that was from the film Road to Morocco, starring Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. Chicken or the egg. Tricky scenario, Alison. Very tricky scenario. Now, look, I've never seen any of these Road 2 films. My late father used to rave about them. But anyway, that's where the song came from, and it was composed by this very famous smiley man, Mr. Jimmy Van Heusen. We've heard from him lots of times before, a marvellous songwriter. Moonlight Becomes You. So the jolly old supermoon, I happened to be awake because I thought I'd left a light on, you see. Right? And where's that light coming from? I looked out the blimmin' window and I thought, of course, it's supermoon time. And it was about 1:45 in the morning. So, as you do at 1:45 in the morning, you pop out, don't you, in your sort of bed rags. And you take your iPhone, other phones are available, and you hopefully just point it randomly at the sky, thinking, oh, it's a clever phone, so it will adjust itself and it will give me these amazing pictures, like the ones that you've just been seeing here. No. I'm deciding not to share my pictures of the supermoon. It is very bright, and then my eyes ached afterwards. Anyway, that's what it was. The supermoon, the blue moon, because it happens so rarely. I believe we don't get another one till 2037. I also believe that we haven't had one since 2009. But there we go. That's why I chose that one. It was our new song on the channel this evening. I suspect. Yeah, Suspect is my middle name, actually, Alison. Okay, let's have something. I think we've only had this once before. Once. Come down an octave there. Once before on the channel. It will be well known to you all, I know. Do enjoy something a little more lively. Indeed. Friend Like Me from originally from the 1992 Disney film Aladdin. And as you saw there, composed by the wonderful Alan Menken with lyrics by Howard Ashman. And of course, it was remade when was it remade? 2019, 2020? With Will Smith in the role as the genie as opposed to Robin Williams. And I think generally speaking, people say that Robin Williams is the boss genie on that one. Lots of interesting facts about Aladdin. I'll just tell you one or two of them. And the Aladdin film was part of the what's called the Disney Revival, a series of very successful films before it all went... no, I didn't say that. But I know, we're so energetic on this channel, aren't we? Put me off now. Oh, yeah. Right, a couple of interesting things. The Aladdin character in the original 1992 animation originally was being sort of the animators were modelling it on Michael J. Fox. I wasn't wondering, Mark, but thanks for clarifying that. We're now all going to stare at it and wonder what on earth is going on in your Hereford mind there. Yeah, so originally they were animating the Aladdin character on Michael J. Fox, but halfway through production, they made it more like Tom Cruise, whatever that means. And apparently in the original sort of video, VHS, do you remember that? There's traces of the old sort of Michael J. Fox looking character rather than Tom Cruise. So that's factoid number one. He was a brilliant genie, Daisy. I suspect he was just being himself, really, completely hyper madman, for which he was known. Okay, and the other interesting thing, and I had to look this up, because when my two children were very young, that was one of their favourite videos we had on repeat, and learned all the lyrics as you do and sing along, and it always confused me. Well, what are they saying at the end of the song? When the genie says, "I'm on the job, you big nabob." Well, what's a big nabob? Well, I looked it up, and it means you're a very powerful sort of ruler and leader. So, there you go. But quite an obscure rhyming lyric. But you heard it here. If you didn't already know it, you probably already knew it because you like that. Very clever people we have in this chat room. Terribly clever. Oh, so clever. Terribly clever. That's what it was. 1992, Alan Menken, Friend Like Me from Aladdin. Speaking of friends. It's time to see what our friends the otters have been up to. They're learning a new trick. Hana and Kataro on their channel Kotsumet with 1.75 million subscribers. Link beneath the video. So as we know, they can do many tricks to these clever otters. But they say that recently we taught them a new one. I think that means Dad taught them a new one because Dad seems to do most of the sort of winding up. The snoot challenge, and again I had to look that up. What it was, and it's a thing peculiar mainly to dog owners, and that's probably why I know nothing about it. But anyway, we've been trying to teach the otters to do the snoop challenge, and the idea is that you get them to put their snout through a sort of circle you make with your with your hands. Katara, ever sort of a bit wary of what's going on. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but of course they do other things like nose bops and high five, pachunk. That's part of their archery. What do I mean? Armory of tricks. No one's given me a thumbs up. Oh, Daisy, that's shocking. It must be because I'm absolutely rubbish today. So yeah. I don't know how you go about teaching otters new tricks. I would imagine slowly and clearly with a lot of bribery. A lot of bribery involving chicken, it seems. see, guitar is a little bit suspicious. I'm not quite sure why. All right, what's Dad saying now? Although Professor, yeah, he needs to practice putting his head through a circle. Yeah, I suppose maybe he thinks it's a trap of some sort. Oh, everyone wants an otter, don't they? I don't think so. Then you can't legally keep them in this country. Of course, you can in Japan, where our otters, Hana and Kentaro, come from, and of course they are licensed otters. And if you read the description beneath. If you ever go into their channel, like I do, they are so well cared for. They are never, ever, 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 ever left alone. So it's a full-time job. They are not, pets from that point. They are very noisy, very demanding, cost a lot, etc., etc. But they do get 24-hour care, and so there you go. You saw it here. You saw it here on Welsh Rarebit Day. You saw the otters doing the Snoop challenge. So we've got 2 more needs a reload to show. What needs a reload? What needs a reload? What? Anyway, I'm going to go on, and you might tell me in a minute. I want to know what needs reloading. Anyway, 2 more pieces of music to go. Now look, I am playing a video of this one. It's not because I can't play it. It's just it sounds better like this, and you'll see why when we play it. Indeed, Side Saddle by Russ Conway. Technically, by Trever Stanford. Trever Stanford was the birth name of Russ Conway, the pianist who sadly lost half a finger when he was a chef in the Merchant Navy. I hope that finger didn't end up in the coleslaw, rather like it did at Chessington World of Adventures, famously in the 1980s, when it was Chessington Zoo. Half a finger in the coleslaw. Makes you think, doesn't it? Right. Thanks for sharing that, Alice. That's so good of you. It's always lovely to see you in the chat room with your welcome, friendly banter. Now, say how it is. Do say how it is. Absolutely terrible. Terrible sound. Terrible. We'll never have it again. Anyway, do you remember last week? Because I do. And there was something going on in the chat room, and I couldn't work out what it was. It was something about David James, I think you were responsible. Something to do with taunt, and it reminded me of a very famous internet meme. And you've probably seen it, but I had to track it down, and I want to share it with you.
So much.
Temps.
You.
Temps.
Time.
Temps.
Attempted.
Temps.
Stretch.
Temps.
Horsefly.
Temps.
Ant.
Tente.
As much.
Autant.
Wait, your tempting ant is spending your time so much you have so many horseflies in your tent.
Attends, ta tente, ton, t'en as autant de temps dans ta tente.
Exactly, and that's what the chat reminded me of. Now look, without any further ado, we're going to launch into the last piece. Nice gentle finish. So I do hope you enjoy our final piece of music this evening before we say goodnight in our usual way. Indeed, as so many of you said, it was she from 1974. You're looking at Charles Aznavour. Yes, indeed, it was either Terry Wogan or Morecambe and Wise, Brother Mark. Charles Aznavour on the left, and on the right, Elvis Costello, who famously covered it in 1999 when it was used in Notting Hill. Now, here we are. We are at the end of another date with a dinner set, program number 167 on the 3rd of September. I hope you enjoyed what we have had to offer you this evening. As always, it's been a huge pleasure to play for you. And do enjoy the week to come. If you are like me and you love the sun and the heat, then do enjoy that. If it's all a bit too much, then pop inside and have a cool drink or something. But whatever you do in the week that is to come, I do wish you a good week, and I look forward to the great pleasure of playing for you again next Sunday. Thank you so much for listening, and good night.